We had a problem with the furnace. It's a Suburban SF25 and a 26-foot travel trailer, and we recognized that because it wasn't, we couldn't get any ignition, that we had a problem with the circuit board. So in order to get to the circuit board in this particular furnace, you have to remove the furnace. So the first step is to remove the intake and exhaust vent from the outside. Once we removed the outside vent, we went inside the trailer and we removed the intake grate. Next step is to remove the back of the furnace, and there are a couple of screws that have to come out, and there's a plate that goes right over it. We removed this one screw into the floor there, and then we pulled the combustion chamber out just far enough so we can get access to the connection for the propane. We removed the gas line so we were able to be able to free the combustion chamber. Okay, in this case we had to cut the wires because there wasn't enough slack in the harness here to get the combustion chamber out. So we'll have to cut the wires and then eventually have to butt connect them back together. Okay, we pulled out the combustion chamber and we set it on its end so we can have easy access to the circuit board. If you had to replace this particular furnace because for some reason you couldn't get the combustion chamber or any of the circuitry to work, okay, you'd have to remove the case. Now what we did is we tried to do that, and of course we immediately found out that the furnace was put in first and then the structure, the cabinet structure, was put in afterward. So there was no way to remove this case without cutting some of the cabinet structure. So here, if you were going to replace the furnace, you'd have to reuse the case. To free the board from the combustion chamber, we had to remove a few wires and we had to also remove some screws. We replaced the circuit board with a Dinosaur Electronics replacement. And the reason we went with the Dinosaur is because these boards are known for their high quality and also the extended warranty. Now to replace it, all we did is slide it back into the place, into these grooves, and then we reconnected the wires and screwed down the plates that hold it in. Okay, it was pretty difficult to get the wiring harness back through the hole in the case. So what we did is we took some primary wire and we used it as a snake wire, pulled it in through the case as we were moving the combustion chamber into place. Once we had the combustion chamber secure in the case, we reconnected the propane line. We then slid in the combustion chamber all the way so it was seated properly, and then we screwed it down into the case in the floor. The furnace back cover is then reconnected using the two screws. We reconnected the wires using butt connectors. Now, so we were able to remember which wires went where. When we cut the original connectors, we left a little pigtail of each of the wires, so we knew which color coding went together. We performed a propane leak test by using a commercial soapy solution. We applied that solution to the connection, waited for a few seconds to make sure there were no bubbles showing. As long as no bubbles were showing, we knew that the system was secure. it's still recommended that you ultimately get a pressure leak down test. We reinstalled the intake grate, making sure that the louvers are pointing toward the floor. Okay, one of the last steps was to put the intake and exhaust vent back in place. You have to make sure that you can read the words on it, because if you can read the Suburban, you know that it's positioned properly. And we also use putty tape. We noticed that when we took it off that the manufacturer of this trailer never used putty tape from the beginning, and that's just a better idea. This furnace was a little bit more difficult than normal because there was no access panel provided by the manufacturer of this trailer. Had that panel been there, we probably could have cut about most of the time out of this project. So if you don't have a panel in the back, expect to spend probably an hour, hour and 15 minutes performing this service.